There are two inverse trig functions that we need to talk about. Inverse trig, if you think about inverses as you've learned them in math already, it's basically going backwards, trying to figure out what basically undoing an equation. So we're going to focus in this class on two inverse functions. The first one being inverse sine. It's denoted with the sign of -1x, or arcsine. Notice where the -1 is. It's actually between the sine and the x. This helps us find the angle or angles whose sine measure is given. So one thing that I do want to point out is that the sine, or the function sine -1 of x, is not the same as y equals sine of x in parentheses to the negative first. The expression sine of x in parentheses to the negative first is your reciprocal function, which we've already talked about, which is 1 over sine, which is equal to cosecant of x. Believe it or not, just moving that -1 in between the sine and the x represents a completely different function. It represents the inverse function of sine, which we consider arcsine, and it's basically asking what angle gave us the answer, like we're trying to find the answer instead. There's also the inverse cosine function. Helps us find the angle or angles whose cosine measurement is given. So you're having the answer, you're trying to find basically the original angle measure. And it follows the same notation that if you have a -1 between the cosine and the x, it's not the same as y equals the cosine of -1. The expression cosine of -1 would be 1 over cosine, which is 1 over secant. And this we call the inverse of a cosine, or inverse of function of cosine, we call arc cosine. And it's finding what angle has the measurement that's given. And that's what we use to solve trig functions.